Cool. So today I'm sitting with Clint. He is the founder and director of Heart for Uganda and is based in Jinja, Uganda. I had the privilege of visiting him there a couple of years ago when we set up a Red Band Barista Academy. But we'll get into a bit more of that later. Clint has been living there with his family for the last 5 years and has really immersed himself into what Africa looks like and into the culture there. Which is really incredible to see how people manage to engage into an African country coming all the way from the States. But Clint, tell me, how did you end up in Uganda?
I was working a great job as a vice president of a regional bank, but it wasn't really fulfilling. You know, I would come home and maybe I made some amazing spreadsheets and that type of thing, but it didn't really fill me. And then I went on a mission trip with our church, and after that I realized, okay, yeah, this is what fills me. And through a long series of praying through it and wrestling with God, I moved my wife and 3 kids here. We just reached our 6th year this past weekend.
Oh, congrats, man.
Thanks. But I really have a heart for equipping people with skills to come out of poverty. That's when I went on the mission trip in the States, that's what we focused on. We focused on a marginalized people group, and then so it's cool how God has used my background and education that I had gained through my professional career and being able to use that here doing ministry.
No, that's amazing, man. It's so encouraging to see. I must say, I really enjoyed my time with you. And to give people context, Clint and I met via both having run a Work for a Living center, which we have one both here in Port Elizabeth at North End, and Clint has one in Jinja. And one of our phase 2 programs is our Red Band Barista Academy, which Clint heard about and reached out to us and said, how do we do this too? So we chatted a bit, and he came to visit us here in South Africa, and we really felt like there was a need to have that skill more in Jinja. So Sean and I and my wife Jo, we organized a trip and we flew over there, and we launched a Barista Academy, which was really fun and exciting. But tell us a bit about how coffee has impacted Uganda and specifically Jinja since we've set up the Red Band Academy.
Okay, yeah, it's been really amazing. Uganda is a coffee producing country, but most of the people here drink tea, and the primary reason for that is because they don't really understand the brew methods, and so they would basically just grind the beans and add hot water and drink it like that. And so people see coffee as a bitter thing, something they wouldn't enjoy. I remember every single class that we have with our Red Band Barista Academy, first thing we do is we make a cappuccino and we ask, how many of you are coffee drinkers? And 100%, none of them ever are. And,
Wow.
and just watching them try to gulp down that first cappuccino is just amazing, because they just are like, okay, well, I'm not supposed to like this, but I kind of do. I'm not real sure about it. But by the end of the course, they're enjoying espresso shots and just turning into coffee lovers, coffee snobs, coffee advocates, and you see that growing amongst their friends. Other people that are employed in our businesses, they've gotten them to drink coffee and enjoy coffee.
It's interesting that many of these countries that are green bean producers and to have their green beans distributed all over the world don't actually pour good coffee in that country. So their green bean production is great, but their roasting and actually the preparation of a milk-based beverage or a coffee-based beverage is quite low.
Absolutely.
I remember what we did is Sean did most of the training and set up the training of your facilitator there, who's Elijah, who's now the trainer. But I also went around to all the hotels and coffee shops that had, or restaurants that had a coffee machine, an espresso machine, and invited them to a latte art presentation and competition. And we had some really cool evenings at your facility there, but it really was incredible. I got to drive around on a little scooter on one of the taxis there, you know, which was cool, in the back of a motorbike. But yeah, there's some great stories that came out of there, and I'm sure you've had some funny experiences when it comes to training coffee and dealing with people becoming baristas. Can you share one or two with us?
Yeah, one of them is not really related to training baristas, but when you guys were here, Sean convinced one of my buddies to try to eat one of the coffee pucks out of the espresso machine, and that was quite entertaining.
Yeah, I remember that, because it looks like a chocolate brownie, so you can convince someone to have a little bite, and no, for sure, man. When we were with you guys, you and I had a lot of conversation over this, and it's something that's close to my heart as well. But how do we talk sustainability of a nonprofit organization, and how do we take our skill sets from business? I mean, you come from a banking world, and how do we translate that into not only the work we're doing, but the local businesses that you are involved in Ginger? You've started various, and you've been through this roller coaster, I suppose, of how do you keep yourself sustainable, your family, and your projects there while impacting the community. And I know you've started many little businesses now in the last couple of years, particularly. Can you talk us through a bit about that and how you found that and what your heart behind that is?
Yeah, I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit. And when we came here, we were fully funded on support. But we've now been here 6 years, and being away from people for 6 years and only seeing them for a little bit every 2 years or so, those relationships wane. And so we've lost some support and realized just that model is not really sustainable unless you're really good with communication and social media and newsletters and going back and doing fundraisers and all of that. And it didn't really fit my skill set, whereas business did. And so, Sean, you were actually a big catalyst for getting me to open my mind and think, okay, well, you can do business as a social enterprise and still make impact into the nations and into the community. And so I took what we talked about, and we started very small. We started on a small plastic table with an espresso machine and a grinder and making coffee at a farmer's market. And it just became more and more popular that I was taking everything home every Saturday to do the farmer's market, and I was having to take 2 vehicles to get everything there. And I said, I need to figure out a way to do this. And I somehow landed on a 1979 Volkswagen Combi minibus that we converted into a coffee shop. We call it Combi Coffee. And it's been cool because we give the baristas that we train an opportunity to get some experience, get some, the idea was for them to get experience and move on. But we are just, our baristas are so amazing that no one wants to let go of them, our customers. So we still have all of them that started with us, which is very fun. And so, but it's been cool because we can give them an opportunity to get on the job training, continuing training, so that what they learn in the Red Band Barista Academy, they can continue on. Another level too we have is service and hospitality. So we started selling hamburgers and frankfurters at the farmers market on Saturdays, and using our students that came through our service and hospitality. And that's grown into a business, a restaurant called Stonetown Grill. And then we opened up a chicken shawarma restaurant. Wow. And now we have a whole food park with 8 different restaurants plus the coffee shop, plus a
That's so
grocery.
incredible, man. I must say, it's so inspiring to hear. I remember us having those conversations and you really were trying to work out how does how does this mission work you're trying to do and running businesses work, and can they work together, and should you be running businesses? But for me, it's a really big passion, and my interest is in business, and I think if more people can use those skill sets to, if it is raise money or teach other people to be entrepreneurs, it's amazing to see, man. I mean, I remember you arriving with that coffee machine, and it was this brand new little machine that you managed to get into Ginger. For people that don't know, Ginger is a touristy town, but it's not like a city like in South Africa, like Cape Town. It really is rural out there compared to what we've got here. But so you managed to get that little machine there, and it's cool to see that just selling a couple of takeaway coffees kicked you into this whole thing. I mean, when I look back into what you were doing then to now, I mean, to say that you have 8 restaurants all running and generating income and providing employment for the people of Ginger is quite incredible, man. It's an awesome story. It's very encouraging. So
yeah, it's been fun. I thank you for, I'll never forget that conversation. We were parked in the middle of Main Street in Ginger, and you and I just were talking through this, and I really wrestled with you on it, because I thought, man, how do I do that and still raise support, because then it becomes tricky. And so I actually now have a 4-year plan to transition out of support and be fully funded with the social enterprises that we're running here.
Okay. Yeah, man. Well done on you for really stepping into that and using your skill set. I think God has done something incredible there, and He's going to continue to do it. On that sort of topic, what would you say is your biggest failure or setback that has turned out for the better?
We had an initial Word for a Living facilitator, and she was also a Red Band Barista trainer. And I put a lot of faith and trust in her. And unfortunately, some things transpired that made it such that I couldn't trust her anymore. And so we had to move on. But it has been better, because I realized that I basically just gave her the tools and said, okay, go run with it. And instead of being intentional, mentoring and discipling and really being focused on that. And so now we have a job training facilitator, we have a business training facilitator, and Elijah's doing the Red Band Barista. And so it's been a better situation to be able to really pour into those guys. When I first started, I was more into training, training the actual people. Now I realize my role is more training or mentoring facilitators. Yeah. And I've really enjoyed that aspect a lot more, and it's made us stronger. It's made our program stronger. We've completely redesigned our job training curriculum to be more Ugandan specific, related to the things that we see that are specific in Uganda that are different than a South African context. And I feel like we have a much stronger program than we had previously.
Okay. And what I really love about what you said is, it's one thing to, and what happened with your first person is one thing to give them the skill, but the thing that really happens and where the change comes, and we've seen in our students and our baristas, is when you walk with them and they can just learn from you, and you're quite intentional about teaching them and to be you are the example rather than just giving them the skill. The human factor really counts.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, well done on that, man. I can't wait to come and visit you again. We speak about it often, so we'll come over there and pour some coffee and have a few more barista jams. I think definitely. I hope your latte art has improved from.
Oh, that would be amazing. I don't know. Our students' latte art is definitely far surpassed me. So. Good. Yeah, well, you guys are legends of Ginger, because people still talk about when you guys came and just the coffee pairings and tastings that we had, and the methods of brew sessions that we had, and the latte art competitions, that people still talk about those. So
great, man. We'll come back, and it's, I mean, for us, it's such a privilege to be able to have a Red Band Barista Academy in another part of the world, you know. So thanks for flying the flag there. I want to ask you one more question that I asked most people I interview. So what's the smallest thing that someone has done that made you feel good about humanity, or just being a human?
Well, when I first started fundraising, I was working in a banking environment. I had access to people with loads of money, but it seemed like they had a lot of different things that they were investing in. And so, yes, they were supportive, and some very generously supportive. But I have one couple that both of them are school teachers, and they give a significant portion of their income to us on a monthly basis. It's a huge sacrifice for them, and it's just so rewarding to see that they care so much about some people living on the other side of the world, that they're willing to contribute so much, you know, that it's actually a sacrifice. So it always challenges me, like maybe there's more I can give. You know, like I see these people giving so sacrificially, and so that always really it's helped me for these 6 years to keep moving on.
Yeah, and that's generosity, man. I think it's so inspiring to see someone being generous, whether it is with their money or their time, or just with being kind, you know. Generosity can be such an infectious thing. So I'm often challenged in that too, you know, how generous can I be, and how over the top generous can I be, that doesn't come with an agenda. So I mean, that's beautiful, man. So yeah, I like that story. But Clint, it's been amazing talking to you. Please continue what you're doing. Maybe one day we'll bring a mission trip out there to come and visit you guys, and I can bring a crew from Father's House. And we're starting to set up these little trips we can do around the world to visit partners that we have a relationship with. So maybe one day we can come and have a meal at your restaurant and take you on a game with some coffee.
Well, we'd love that. You guys are welcome anytime.
Awesome. Thanks, man.